Hey, so sorry about the wait. I apologize.
It's okay. It's okay. I was trying to get my stream deck together, and on my laptop, my stream deck and all my devices don't want to act right. But I got manual buttons where I can say fuck Tom Brady.
How
Oh, we know that. We know that.
y'all been, man?
Hey, we've been
Been
good,
good,
man.
been blessed.
I've seen your Twitter been blowing up. I was like, hold on, man. We got to get Samuel back on here. Talk about this NCAA. It's too much shit going on, and I don't
Man,
understand it.
man, you guys see the union stuff with Dartmouth basketball?
Hmm.
Yep,
That's setting a crazy precedent for college football, or I mean for college sports in general. I mean that could be crazy.
they about to blow up the whole NIL shit. Like it's only gonna get worse before it get better.
Yeah. The NCAA is, I feel like, didn't we talk about the NCAA being on their way out the last time I was on?
Hmm.
Yep.
They're just one step closer to it.
Now we got the ACC about to boycott the whole broadcasting deal, so we're gonna see how that turns out.
What? Who's the ACC? Are they ESPN? What network are they with?
Yeah,
So they on that
ESPN.
in
ESPN.
that in media rights deal is with ESPN. Oh yeah, it's
Yep.
it's it's all
Okay.
kind of ugliness. All kind of ugliness.
Man.
Yep. And then how how is the CAA, the SWAC, the MEAC, the CIAA all producing their own productions for ESPN to rebroadcast?
Are you saying that's a good thing or a bad thing?
That's a bad thing. Well,
It's a bad
it's a
thing.
good thing and it's a bad thing.
That's
It's a
a
good
means for
thing
them to
because,
get their games on TV, correct?
yeah, but here's the thing. That's the same type of deal that blew up the Pac-12. The Pac-12 was
Uh,
going to do that Apple TV Plus deal, but they had to produce their own shows.
mm.
And
Yeah,
now we
that's
don't
So
not
even have a
basically,
Pac-12.
so basically, them producing their own shows is like another expense for them
Yep.
instead of
Hmm.
just getting all the money for to let ESPN or whoever produce the whole game and everything like that. Okay.
Mhm.
So that means
And
they got
then
to
what
hire their
happens
own
is,
camera crew. They have to hire their own all that stuff, huh?
but
Mhm.
it's deeper than that. It raises the tuition cost for the school.
Really?
Yes,
They're trying to cover the costs, huh?
to
Cover the
cover the
cost. Yep.
expenses. Yep.
Oh,
That's
wow.
why the Pac-12 is all but finished. You see, all of the schools, they pretty much expeditiously got out of there. Like the
Yeah,
Big
Big
Ten
12,
is
Big
loaded
10, all
now.
that stuff.
Big 12, they had to retool because, Big 12 losing Texas and Oklahoma. They're like, okay,
Hmm.
well, let's bring in some Pac-12 teams. And they brought
Arizona.
Arizona, Colorado.
Hmm.
So that was just a way
But
for them because they know that the Big 12 already has things in place. They haven't lost their contract, even though Texas and Oklahoma lost. And then they still have the Big
Hmm.
12 network, which pays out all the schools within the Big 12. The Pac 12 didn't have that.
Seems like the Big 12 doing something right.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
it's better than the Pac 12. I'll say that at least.
Well, the
How do
Big
you
12 contract is about to be as big as the ACC contract.
Who gets the most money? The SEC?
SEC.
SEC.
Yeah.
SEC, Big Ten,
Oh yeah.
right now the ACC, and then the Big 12, but it's gonna flip in a hot 30 seconds.
Yeah. How do y'all feel about the ending of that Super Bowl game?
Oh man, we're not gonna do this for free. Hold on. We're not gonna do this for free. No. Oh,
That was crazy.
ladies and gentlemen, here's the end of it. Gathering an Old Men Podcast. We have special guest here, Samuel me, Marlo, TT. We come to bring you the good news. Maybe some bad news. Maybe a little bit of bad news. So I'm gonna start on a somber note. Kansas City Chiefs celebrated a world championship only for it to be ruined by a mass shooting. Our prayers and thoughts go out to those families. Um, I would like to say that something good is going to come out of this, but on this podcast, we've covered too many mass shootings too many times to think that it's not going to follow the same usual cycle it always does. Prayers go out to the family. Everybody voices their outrage and concern. Politicians get into it's a mental health issue. And then in a 24-hour cycle, it's nothing to talk about. So I might be getting old and cynical, but I don't know.
I mean, shout out to the bystanders that took action, because a lot of times when something like this happens, people, they run and flee, and there's nothing done proactively to try to stop the damage that's already being caused. So shout out to the people that, the courageous ones that went out to try to stop this guy, because it could have been a lot worse. Definitely could have been a lot worse.
But did you guys see what Brittany Mahomes said? Like, she said this changes championship parades forever, and it does. Because just think now, like, every time somebody thinks about, say you have like a 10-year-old son or daughter who wants to celebrate their team winning a championship, how do you feel safe bringing them to that parade with you, knowing that something like this could happen? I wouldn't.
I'm at the state where I'm not going to any mass celebration where there's gonna be thousands of people, no security. Like, you can say there's security, but they're not in the crowd. If
Yeah.
somebody could easily bring a gun into the crowd because there's not somebody checking them as they walk in.
Yeah.
That, stemming from the Las Vegas shooting, you know, all these things where it's a lot of people in one spot, there isn't there's no security. I live in a small town here in Indiana, and they had a back to Muncie celebration. It was thousands of people out there gathered on this four corner block, and somebody just started shooting, and two people got killed. You know, and my wife was like, "Yeah, a lot of her family was there." So she's calling, like, she's panicking because she doesn't know if any of her family members were affected, but they were there, and they were telling her.
Shirts. They was in t-shirts.
Yeah.
So your argument doesn't really hold weight now, does it?
Yeah. Done.
Half of them drunk.
So I need to go ahead and apologize because last week I took great joy in mocking Daytona and the #1 HBCU recruiting class. Now, to be fair, everybody, and I mean everybody in HBCU spaces and sports spaces, were getting their data from 24/7 Sports. And 24/7 Sports don't even know that FAMU and Bethune-Cookman are no longer in the media. So take that for what you will. So that school in Jackson, #1 recruiting class in HBCU. Now, that is the official. And when I'm wrong on Twitter, people like to point out that you're wrong.
They love that.
And so I posed the question: how does a 6'4", 200-pound wide receiver who's not slow end up as a 2-star in a very large football state? I didn't understand it because I was trying to figure out what were they trying to tell me.
That might be why he went unnoticed, though, because in a larger state, there are more, bodies, more players, there's more rankings to go around. And that's easy for somebody who's 6'4", 200 to slide under the radar. Maybe his statistics weren't right. Maybe I guess they're not really going off grades, but maybe his statistics weren't right, or, maybe he was a late bloomer. I think there's many reasons why kids, especially in a state like California, Florida, Texas, like these bigger states that have big time football and, a lot of athletes, it's easy for those guys to go unnoticed. I see that all the time.
In the
I'm so
states
glad
you
you
just mentioned all have prep schools. Their players get ranked first.
Yeah.
And then once it trickles down, it's like, okay, well, we can only give out this many 5 stars, this many 4 stars. So, like, we've already given out as many stars can give. So then that's why you start to see the 3 stars that should have been 5, but they're just not at prep school. They don't have the notoriety, or the school wasn't that good.
Yep.
Now, I want to be fair to the recruiting services that are doing yeoman's work, that are getting with local people on the ground to find out what they know and who they know and all this other stuff. Those guys do yeoman's work. But on 3, I ain't believing nothing y'all say no more.
What they do to you?
Just off the strength of your website. Because if I go, oh no, 24/7 got it wrong. Let me go to On 3. You know how many HBCUs On 3 got listed on their website? 1. Jackson State.
Of course. And they probably wouldn't even have that. They probably wouldn't even have him on there if Dion didn't go there.
Exactly.
So, and I am not trying to start wars with. Yeah, I'm not trying to start wars with publications. I just want y'all to do what y'all say y'all are doing. If you're not gonna do it, I would have had. If they'd have had no HBCUs on there, I would have had nothing to say. Cool, they don't have the resources to cover it. I've seen it before.
They do that with the ESPN app a lot of times too, though. Like if there's a sometimes it's FCS, sometimes it's HBCU, but sometimes when those games are on, you're like, oh, let me check up on the game, go see the stats. Sometimes the stats aren't even updated on there. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, don't you guys have enough staff? Don't you guys have enough money to where you guys can? I mean, like, I don't know. Don't make me get into the lack of exposure for FCS and HBCU football. It's honestly ridiculous because it's a good brand of football, and I don't get why. I just want to know, to the casual fan who's not an FCS or HBCU fan, why don't you watch it? Because then people complain there's weekends when there's FCS football on, and people are like, oh, there's no football, or I want to know why people don't watch it. I truly do.
That is a beautiful segue.
Beautiful. You know what? I would try to answer that question as somebody who hadn't watched it a lot, prior to this year or prior to last year. It's not a lot of talking points because you don't have anybody else to talk to about it. We watch sports because we like talking about it. So if I'm watching this, who am I going to talk to about it? I can enjoy watching, but then there's no conversation to be had because there's no what's the word?
Name brand players for you to talk about.
Yeah, we don't know none of these guys. So who am I going to talk to about it?
Yeah.
And I think that's the issue, but that all comes down to exposure. You got to know about them to talk about
it. And also the HBCU games historically has never been on TV like that. So you won't know of a lot of these superstar athletes. Like back in the day, there were no black NFL players coming from these PWIs. They all came from HBCUs. The Jerry Rice, the Warren Moons, the big dogs from back in the days all came from HBCU. So the brand has always been there. It's just they keep it on the tuck because they want to control the narrative.
Yeah.
The talent has never fallen off. The only difference between a major FSC and FCS school is the linemen. The skill positions they've always been there. So I think
no, go ahead.
I think the media has controlled that narrative because all growing up, all I knew was HBCU football and the player, because being an athlete, I saw what he went. So that's how I got my hooks in. But yeah, that's the biggest difference I see.
So
I was gonna say that, like, historically, when the NFL started to realize they needed black players, a lot of black kids back in the day couldn't go to your Florida States and your Miamis and your Alabama, so they had to go to the HBCUs to find them. But now in today's age, we're everywhere. So now what makes you draftable is your connection with your coach and your coach's connection to the NFL. The issue is there's not a lot of representation from the NFL pipeline to HBCUs, but you have them in Power Five schools. You don't have that same pipeline.
So a couple things, like we touched on a couple things. One thing I don't want to ever let ESPN off the hook. ESPN is the major benefactor of FCS football, and they have been for 20 plus years. And Flow Sports is getting the pass right now because I don't know everything about Flow Sports. So they're going to get a pass with me right now until I can get some real research on them. But ESPN, we got documented history. ESPNU was built off of FCS sports. Yet you don't drive the narrative. You don't tell the stories. Where is ESPN storytellers? That's why we go watch the games, because
you want to know another thing that's hurting FCS football and HBCU football? It's basically behind a paywall. You have to have ESPN Plus to watch FCS and HBCU football. That is a paywall. But then when you want to watch these Power 5 schools, you pull up ACC Network, you pull up your local television, your regional television, and you can get it right on your TV. That's the thing, is like, locally, you can get some of these FCS and HBCU schools games, but to watch all of them, you have to be on ESPN Plus. And I know there's only a certain amount of national television slots to go around, but I don't know, just the fact that, it's already a brand that a lot of people don't want to patronize, and then you put it behind a paywall, what makes you think you're going to increase your viewership that way? The only people who really want to watch the games are going to want to pay ESPN Plus to watch those games.
Well, I'll say this because, again, this year, the Celebration Bowl kicks off bowl season. I'm sorry, kicks off ad season.
Advertising season, yes.
Your largest ad revenue comes from Christmas time. Mm-hmm. So, that being the case, and again, I don't want to let nobody off the hook. The SWAC having 12 separate paywalls for each school. I got to watch FAMU softball today. You know why I got to watch it? Because it was a Troy production. It was a home Troy game. So that's how I saw it. And I was late getting to the game. In the first 5 minutes, I saw 15 Fortune 500 ads. So the ad revenue doesn't go to the school. The school is behind a paywall. Who they're not getting subscription numbers.
No.
They may get a portion of whatever their media rights deal was, which I guarantee you does not cover women's softball.
So it goes to the conference and they divvy it up, don't they?
Most conferences don't cover softball. Now, and somebody corrected me, one of the ladies from Howard corrected me when I said softball isn't a revenue-generating sport. I'm speaking traditionally. The revenue-generating sports have always been football and basketball. That's where these media rights deals go. And then, like, the SWAC has other events that are after the football games. So they may be covered under other events, but I'm pretty sure there's not the same amount of money for a softball game that Troy is getting that they would get for a football game. So,
you know what I've never seen on ESPN? A HBCU baseball game. I've never seen it.
Not till later on in the season when there's nothing going on.
The only time you're going to see it is once it's playoff time. And then once we get into the College World Series. That's the only time I see college baseball on ESPN heavily.
Do HBCUs compete in the College World Series?
If they, so FAMU got an invite last year because they won the SWAC. They got an invite, and I think they played in the Florida State Regional, if I'm not mistaken. But they do get invites. So once they play their tournament championship, they get an invite.
Yeah, we played Florida.
So,
but outside of that, you're not going to see an HBCU versus HBCU baseball game on ESPN.
So there is a baseball classic that is happening that me and Marlon are supposed to go to in March in Alabama. That is supposed to be televised on ESPN Plus, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's supposed to be televised on ESPN Plus. So
another paywall,
right?
It's gonna be a paywall for everything. Like he was saying, like 12 different subscriptions. It may work for the schools, but as a consumer, I already pay for cable. I already pay for internet. Now I got to pay you another $150 a month to be able to watch, all the rest of the college sports.
Don't even add in where NFL football is going. Peacock, Paramount Plus, Amazon Prime. Like, let's not get going about the NFL. Everything's getting put behind a streaming paywall these days.
And then NFL Sunday ticket is what, $400? Not to mention, I got Disney Plus and Netflix for the kids. This is getting ridiculous. Like, the whole concept of cutting cords has been thrown out the window because we're putting everything behind paywalls.
We might as well give Comcast $500 a month for all of this.
Hey, can we go back? Can we go back? Hey, Comcast, I'll pay $250 a month, man. Give me everything for $250 a month. I want my HBO, I want my Max, I want all my college sports, I need all my NFL, my NBA TV, I need all that. $250, I got you.
Man.
All right. So I saw your Super Bowl breakdown. But before we get to that, because it's never will I ever pass up an opportunity to take time out of my day to explain to y'all that the smartest man in the room is the one who relies on the smart people around him. Mike Shanahan has shown me when he lost to
Mike or Kyle?
I'm sorry, Kyle. He ain't win no Super Bowls either. Anyway.
Yeah, he did.
Shanahan has shown me that, wow.
He was John Elway made, but he
was right. Cat Williams was right. Shannon Sharp has an affinity for losers. Anyway, that aside. This man gave up a 28-3 lead to Tom Brady. And all he had to do was run the ball. He lost to Patrick Mahomes.
Up 20-10.
And now the GOAT was in the building. I swear to God, I didn't see Kansas City and the San Francisco 49ers. I saw the San Francisco 49ers and the Cincinnati Bengals because the exact same scenario played out. Y'all got Ickey Woods in the backfield. Run the goddamn ball. It don't matter if you're only getting 3 yards. Choose some clock. Whatever you do, don't give Joe Montana 3 minutes. What is wrong with you people? You let Patrick Mahomes
get a minute 50.
Minute 50.
I think they had a couple timeouts too, if I'm not mistaken.
They went home with their timeouts.
Yes.
They went home with their timeouts.
They thought they could use them next season.
They must have figured that they was gonna be able to score quicker than that and weren't gonna need them, but that's not what happened.
I just want to know, like, why nobody on his coaching staff said, Coach, we cannot give Patrick Mahomes the ball last during overtime.
I was on the phone with my cousin the whole fourth. I was on the phone with my cousin the whole fourth quarter and going into overtime. I was like, whoever has the ball last is going to win the game. So if you elect to receive, you lost. Because the last thing I want to do is get the ball first and only get 3 because Mahomes is gonna get 7.
And let's
or
be real.
6 is all you need.
Let's be real. The only reason the Chiefs didn't win that thing in regulation is because they ran out of time, not because the Niners stopped them. They ran out of time. They had to kick a field goal. They were going to score a touchdown. Make no mistake about it.
Oh, but here we have bad coaching or players not understanding the rules of the game that they play.
That's crazy.
The 49ers players elected to receive and didn't know that if they scored a touchdown, the Chiefs would still get the ball.
They said the first time they found that out was on the big screen when overtime started, when they were showing the overtime rules. That's the first time they knew that overtime rules were different. The playoff overtime rules were different.
It's been different for 2 years.
Hold on. So,
the ref even asked, "Are you sure?"
4 broke gentlemen know to run the ball, and Kyle Shanahan, who made $10 million a year. All right, okay. I just
look. I coach football. When it's the coin toss, I tell my kids, 10-year-olds, know to do what the coach just told them to do. We go out there. If we win the toss, kick it off. And we want to defend that way if we lose the toss. Tell them just point that way, and that's what we're gonna do. Simple.
Kyle Shanahan told his guys that he wanted to receive. Before Fred ran out there, I watched the mic'd up yesterday. He told Fred Warner, we want to receive. So it wasn't a mistake by Fred Warner. They said in his post-game presser, Kyle Shanahan said, after we looked at the analytics, after we looked at all the numbers, I talked to my coaching staff. We felt like if the game went to sudden death, which would be a third or like a second overtime, if they wanted the ball first. So they wanted the opportunity to score the first points in the third possession or whatever, like the second overtime. That's what went into their decision to take the ball.
And let me tell you the flaw. Let me tell you the flaw in that mindset, right? And like I get it. If we get 3, they kick 3. All we got to do is kick 3, and we can go home
right
with the Lombardi, right? I understand that. Y'all ain't stopped Mahomes in the fourth quarter at all. So you think because y'all in overtime, y'all gonna stop them now? Y'all ain't stopped them in the second half. Like, understand momentum. This is why the Lions lost the game, because they didn't understand momentum. So y'all capitalizing on momentum should understand the way that handles in the game. You gave the Chiefs the momentum when you let them come back. So now if you go to overtime and you take the ball first and you don't put it in the end zone, guess who is at a disadvantage?
I got a question, gentlemen. We pretty much watched the majority of the Chiefs football games this season, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody recall the Kansas City Chiefs running read option? I need to know because I don't remember it.
They said that was an adjustment. Patrick Mahomes mentioned how that was an adjustment they had made during that fourth quarter based on how the Niners were playing.
So there's no way Steve Wilks could have known ahead of time that, you know what, they might run with the greatest quarterback in the league right now. They might run read option.
You mean scapegoat Steve Wilks?
Ran read option all year. Let's blame Steve Wilks for all the fucked up calls that Kyle Shanahan called. Let's blame Wilks for all the non-called holding calls on the Chiefs. They held all night. And this ain't
posted actually
nothing away. This ain't to take nothing away from their Super Bowl. Because I was rooting for the Chiefs. I was happy they won. But they held all night. It was so egregious. And it was just funny to watch. I was like, man, they not calling shit.
They posted numbers. Geoff Schwartz posted numbers from the last like 5 Super Bowls. There hasn't been more than like 2 or 3 holding calls called on either team and like total in the last like 4 or 5 Super Bowls. So it's not rare for them to not call holding in the Super Bowl. They kind of let them play in the Super Bowl, and I kind of respect that. Even though in 2021, the Rams got a phantom holding call that won them the Super Bowl, and then last year, some could say the Chiefs got a phantom holding call that won them the Super Bowl. So, I mean, I think that's kind of interesting.
But that hold on Bradbury, that was a defensive hold, though, right? That does not the same thing.
Both of them actually. The Rams was a defensive hold on Logan Wilson. Actually, it was on the Cincinnati player Logan Wilson, and then last year was on Bradbury. Both defensive holdings.
Yeah, and last time I checked, the defensive holding is worse than the offense because it grants an automatic first down as
Automatic
opposed
first
to
down.
replaying it down.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a
The
killer.
Chiefs were the most penalized offensive line during the regular season. You can check your stats. They were penalized for holding more times than any other team in the NFL, and there wasn't one holding call called on them in the
There
Super
were some
Bowl.
egregious ones. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, it was bad. They were grabbing Nick Bosa around the neck and everything. Like it was.
What you think gonna happen if Nick Bosa gets a clean shot at Patrick Mahomes next year? Do you think that dude is gonna be back on the team?
Man, y'all see all the memes and stuff they post about him online?
I haven't
Nick
seen
Bosa?
About the Bosa brothers.
I haven't seen it.
Have you seen him, Troy?
As a Raider fan, I'm not gonna say nothing. You know what? I've been saying it all season, and I'm gonna say it now. Your game manager was not up for this task.
I'm not gonna put it on Purdy. I'm not gonna put it on Purdy.
He did not lose them the game.
He didn't.
I'm going to put it on Purdy, but I'm gonna let y'all finish. I'm gonna Kanye y'all real quick.
I'm gonna compare it to this because I like this comparison. I got Joe Montana and I got Boomer Esiason. I'm sorry. Boomer was a nice quarterback. He wasn't Joe Montana. There's no way
for the Giants.
Boomer played for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Bengals. Okay.
By the way, he was a league MVP when they went to Super Bowl.
Did we lose him?
Joe beat MVPs. He beat bums. He beat MVPs.
Right.
He was like one of the first quarterbacks to pass for over 4,500 yards. He was airing it out. They had Ickey Woods in the backfield. It was that offense was nasty. That offense was
That offense was nasty. It was.
Who they have it wide out?
Chris Collinsworth was one of their wide outs.
Chris Collinsworth?
Yes.
As much as we hate Collinsworth, he was.
That's what I was about to say when you guys were talking about momentum. I was going to mention how the PFF people don't believe momentum is real. And I can tell you right now, as somebody who's played sports for a very long time, momentum is very real. I don't care what the analytics people say.
Hey, again, I ask, why do analytics people do interviews? I ain't seen one dude say, yes, I'm the lead analytics guy, and the numbers didn't really add up for us. Never seen one.
Man.
Are y'all hiding? Are y'all scared? Or are the analytics guys somebody y'all paid at the beginning of the season for some sheets of paper?
You want to know what my coach said about analytics? My head coach from college said, analytics are good at times, but one thing analytics doesn't take into account is your left tackle has a bum ankle that he can't run on. Your number one receiver has a hurt finger, which is affecting his catching ability. Your quarterback has a bad shoulder. Like, it doesn't take into account all the things that can go on during a game or the things that might have happened in previous games that may be affecting somebody's play. It's just simply giving a 0 or a 1 for a play, and then you look at the score at the end of the game.
There's one analytic guy that I respect, Eric Spoelstra. Outside of him, I don't like him.
I want to tell y'all this right now.
But even he wasn't smart enough to double Dirk Nowitzki.
Man.
I ain't gonna get into that. I wanted to let you finish what you said about Brock Purdy. You said you're not blaming Brock Purdy. I want to hear why.
He's not. I'm not blaming Brock Purdy, but he could not go out there on his own with a minute and some change left against that Chiefs defense and go, we're finna go get 7.
You don't think he could have done that?
Mm-mm.
I think he could have. Man, y'all really don't believe in this man at all.
It's not like, he has not shown me that ability.
He did it against the Lions.
Super Bowl.
He did it in the Super Bowl too. When he left the field, this is one good point. When he left the field, the Niners had the lead. That's all you can ask for a quarterback. They had the lead. What else do you want?
Oh, okay, all right. I gotta. This should make everybody happy. Fire the head coach and keep everybody else. Because
it's hard to win, though. That's my thing about firing Shanahan. It's hard to win. You can't just find a winning coach that can take you to an NFC championship every year around the corner.
And this is hyperbole. This is simply because I'm tired of everybody else getting scapegoated.
Yeah.
And the dude who over a decade, do y'all understand the reason that I hate Tom Brady is because of Mike Shanahan? Do y'all understand it?
Kyle.
I'm sorry. I'm getting old and senile. They look a lot like each other. Anyway.
What is your rebuttal though? What is your rebuttal though, TP?
We have 4 1,000-yard players on that offense. Brandon Ayuk, Debo, Kittle, and CMC, right?
Yeah.
Outside of Purdy, right? Brandon Ayuk, 3 catches, under 50 yards. Debo Samuel, 3 catches, under 50 yards. George Kittle, 2 catches, 4 yards. See where I'm going with this?
But Purdy doesn't call the plays.
He couldn't deliver the ball. They were open. He missed them.
Yeah.
There was one play. There was one where Brandon Ayuk was wide open on the sideline and he threw it out of bounds. Yeah. There's another play. Debo Samuel's coming over the middle, underthrows him. The only thing he could complete was screens and little checkdowns and slant routes. And of those 50-yard, out of those 3 catches that Brandon Ayuk and Debo both caught respectfully, only 2 of them were over 5 yards in the air.
Wow.
Now, you can't tell me that that's an elite quarterback. One quarterback didn't lose his team the game, and the other quarterback won his team the game.
That's a fact.
You can say, oh, he didn't win it, but you can say he didn't lose it, but I'm gonna tell you like this: he damn sure didn't win it. He didn't go out there with the mentality that I'm gonna put this ball in the air and I'm gonna make something happen. He didn't do that. You're going against Pat Mahomes, the baddest motherfucker in the NFL. You want to throw 5-yard checkdowns? You don't beat him like that. Eli was a checkdown king, but when it came to going against Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, he had to air that bitch out.
Go Eli. Go Eli. Yep, that's what we call him around these parts. I want to point out something.
That's my take. That's my take on Purdy. Yes, he lost that game because he damn sure didn't win it.
So
that's fair.
A couple things. One, Spags don't play. Nah. Okay, say you got a quarterback. Let's find out. Now, I brought this up before. Brock is the brother of Chupa. I seen Chupa. They got the same throwing motion. And the issues that Chupa had at Florida State is the issues that I saw come alive in that Super Bowl. His delivery is not the fastest delivery.
No.
So when Spags blitz get free, he dead in the water. He can't get that thing off. And it's hard to have everybody don't throw fast. It's not just something you born with. Everybody don't throw fast. Spags is coming. And those corners are playing tight. TP, after the first couple blitzes, I'm sure he was like, I'm finna check it down. And hope CMC can do something. And CMC I respect him for that. But the great ones go, okay, the blitz coming, but we're going to get this first down or a touchdown.
Like when Tony Romo, he saw the zero blitz. It might have been a third down. They ran the under to Rashee Rice, and Tony Romo just said on the broadcast. He said, oh, no, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't play man coverage right here. Dotted him up.
Dot him up. You run zero on Mahomes, you better get there.
Facts.
If they holding in the Super Bowl, you ain't gonna make it.
I mean, they not calling it. Look, I tell you what, I don't blame the Chiefs offensive line for holding because they're not calling it.
Facts.
If you want me to not do something, call me on it. This is it. This is with everything in life. You don't want me to do something, call me on it. If I'm being mean to you and you don't tell me I'm being mean, guess what? I'm gonna keep being mean because you ain't said shit. And that's what they did to him. They was mean to the 49ers pass rush all game.
That's what our defensive guys used to do. They used to be like, we're going to hold until they call it because they're gonna let it be good. They're gonna let it slide more than they're gonna call it. So we might get a call or two, but we'll get away with holding the whole game.
Exactly.
Please don't get TP started on Sauce Gardner.
You already knew what my mind went. They didn't call it his rookie year. He got defensive rookie of the year. They called it on him last year. He wasn't even in the talks of being top 5 corner. It's just crazy how the wind change from season to season.
Real quick before we move on, Steve Wilks is no longer defensive coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers. This is specifically for She Loves Thee. Steve Wilks is not coming to Jackson State to be your defensive coordinator. I need you to understand that. And if I'm wrong, I will get on public social media and admit that I'm wrong. But on what planet is this going to happen? I just need to know.
Y'all know Steve Wilks' numbers were better than DeMeco Ryans' numbers?
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's crazy.
Those defensive stats are the stats that win you Super Bowls.
Not when you got noodle arm quarterbacks leading the way.
But when I said I'm wrong, what?
I'm not gonna say Brock Purdy's a noodle arm or he's a bad quarterback.
Those were ducks. I'm sorry. This man threw a corner route and lobbed it. And the only reason it wasn't picked off is because the defender's head was turned. Yeah. Nobody would ever think you would lob the ball at a DB whose back is turned. But Purdy did it, and it was completed. Look, he got a cannon for an arm. You hear him in the broadcasting booth. But I'm sitting at home looking like that wasn't a good throw.
Fun fact, the last San Francisco quarterback that lost them the Super Bowl got fired.
Jimmy? Yeah, but I think the thing with Jimmy
this one bet not end up being a Raider. God damn it.
I feel like the thing with Jimmy was that he had got multiple opportunities and they had seen kind of his ceiling. I think with Brock, he still got a lot of time to grow.
The last 2 quarterbacks in San Francisco that lost them Super Bowls got fired. Don't forget Colin lost to the Ravens. He was out of the league for 2 years.
Yep.
Yeah. You lose the 49ers the Super Bowl, your NFL career goes down the drain.
But not Kyle, though. Kyle's job is good.
Kyle who? Oh, yeah. The coach going to be there.
They got
Shanahan. The Shanahan coaching tree is long, and they got money.
How one of his understudies win a championship before him? Sean McVay. Let's talk about that.
Sean McVay is actually a football guru. He's a football savant.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. McVay was under Shanahan. How does McVay win a championship before how does the mentee win a championship before the mentor?
I'll give you 2 words. Aaron Donald.
Man. That boy Jamar was wide open. On that last 4th down, that boy Jamar was open. Thank God for Aaron Donald, because they would have lost that game.
Yep, absolutely.
So
that's how he's able to win, because he couldn't do it with Jared Goff. That was an embarrassment when they went to that Super Bowl.
MVP of that Super Bowl.
Cooper Kupp, FCS guy, Eastern Washington University.
It's rigged. Chris Jones should have been the MVP of this Super Bowl, and Aaron Donald should have been the MVP of the last Super Bowl. It's rigged.
Man, that is crazy. Chris Jones definitely should have been the MVP. Wow. Him or maybe even McDuffie. I mean, McDuffie's plays aren't going to show up on the stats as much, but McDuffie was a huge piece to them winning. That 3rd and 4 that he batted down? Are you kidding? That would have ended the game.
We know how the voting for the MVP goes, right?
Yeah.
You gotta have the stat. How many sacks did Chris Jones have?
None.
But how many touchdown passes did Pat Mahomes have? He had 2.
What, he had 2? Yeah, 2. Yeah.
TP, some things don't show.
And you know what else? You know what else Pat Mahomes did? led a game-winning drive in overtime and put
Yeah.
it in the
Yeah.
sent
That's
And he
so
had to
funny.
run a
49ers.
lot. He had to run a lot that drive.
He had to run a lot. You got your 4th and 1, the fake where he keep it, the other one he's scrambling for. Like, there's nobody that I would have rather seen get the MVP. We can say that Chris Jones had a great game, but where's the numbers? I know the impact because I watched the game. I know the
Facts.
impact he had, but when we look on the stat sheet, this is like the same conversation we can have as to why Myles Garrett won Defensive Player of the Year over T.J. Watt when T.J. Watt had better numbers in every category. But when I
Mhm.
watched the Browns play versus when I watched the Steelers play, I'm sorry, but Myles Garrett impacted the game a lot more than T.J. Watt as far as dominating. T.J.
Yeah.
Watt will get you a sack, but then he'll disappear for 5 plays.
To
You saw
win
Myles
the
Garrett every.
to win the MVP as a defensive player, you really got to have like a Von Miller type game. 2 sacks, a sack fumble. You know, you caused a touchdown to happen off one of your sack fumbles. Like he was wrecking the game, and it was very obvious that because that game was low scoring anyway. Peyton couldn't really do anything. You definitely weren't going to give that MVP to Peyton. So it's like, who else had a good game?
Yeah,
DP.
Peyton Manning was past his prime, but I'll give you another defensive player that won a Super Bowl MVP. Dexter Jackson. You got Brad
I don't know who
Johnson,
that
the
is.
game manager, and you can't tell me if you're not a
Hey,
game manager,
hold
you
on.
did
Game
not.
managers don't throw their own passes and catch their own passes. Game managers don't do that. Don't
Dexter
do that.
Jackson did that? Who's Dexter
No,
Jackson?
Brad Johnson did that. When he was in Minnesota,
Oh,
he was
Brad
choking the
Johnson.
thing all over the field.
No, I'm talking about when the Buccaneers beat the Raiders in the Super Bowl. Your Raiders. Dexter Jackson had 2 picks and 1 pick six, like 7 tackles. I think he had a sack. They gave him the MVP over the quarterback who was
A
Brad
I
Johnson.
forget you said
monster
that. He had
game.
about 2 Seminoles.
You said he had a monster game all over. He was everywhere. On
A
a team with
monster game.
three other Hall of Famers on that defense, the Hall of Famers ain't even the ones. You got to show up to work. Rondé Barber, Derek Brooks,
Thank you.
and then
Thank you.
John Lynch, Warren Sapp, and out of all those guys, the Super Bowl MVP was Dexter Jackson.
From Florida State. Say it all. Say all of it.
I'm too young because I have no idea. I mean, I know the Super Bowl you guys are referring to, but the only thing I know about that game is I've heard how dumb the Raiders were because John Gruden had just left and they basically were running the same stuff. That's the only thing I know about that game.
And the center went down to Mexico and had a psychological break. And pretty much the Bucks had their way on that defensive line.
It was ugly. It was a bad game for the Raiders. I'm not gonna lie.
Wasn't it like 50
And
to
this was
something? 50 to 0 or something?
no, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that
No, it wasn't that
Ooh.
bad.
No, you're thinking about the way the Packers handled the Patriots. That was like 55-10 or some shit. That was back. That was. I think that was Bill Parcells' last day coaching the Patriots too. It was bad.
It was bad, and we need to
I
put
think
some
Reggie. I think
on
Reggie.
Reggie
What?
White's
I think
name.
Reggie White had like 3 sacks. He was literally throwing
Mm.
linemen.
That's in the Super Bowl?
Yes, that was in the Super Bowl. He literally threw one of the left tackle. He came out to block him, and that's where we even the first time I think I've ever even seen that pass rush animation where you get
The
under
hip
the
toss?
guy's right. Yeah, the hip toss alignment though.
Oh, wow. Wow.
This is grown men playing
I
with
feel like I've
toddlers.
seen that video. I didn't know that was in a Super Bowl. That's even crazier.
That's Reggie White. He was different.
Very
We ain't got no
different.
Reggie Whites in the league right now. Maybe
You
Myles
wouldn't, you
Garrett
wouldn't.
is the closest thing we can compare, but the absolute dominance that Reggie White played with, I don't know if we'll ever see that again.
AD doesn't compare?
AD is up there. AD is up there. When I
So
look at the eras, AD has dominated, but the way Reggie White did it was just different. I don't know. It was
that
scary.
whole era of defensive ends were different. You got
LT
Smith.
6'5" dudes that's 302 running 4.5s, and they ain't regular strong. This ain't no weight room strong. This I used to push over cows strong. These ain't no regular dude. Dexter Manley, Washington, he was a difference. Oh my God. We can just go on and on. Y'all got me.
We about to get derailed. We about to be on D lineman for 45 minutes.
For real. So the Seahawks, which I don't know what this is wild to me, but I got mad respect for the Seahawks. The Seahawks are gonna keep Geno Smith on the roster to the
They
end
just
of
paid
this
him.
week. Yep, to the end of this week. So his $12 million injury turns into guaranteed money. Now, the end of this week. That does not mean he's gonna be on the team when the season starts. Just right now, they did him a solid. He's still on the squad.
I respect that. Oh my gosh, 12 million. Yeesh.
I mean, because the NFL is like the Raiders. Well, no, you can't do nothing. And then as soon as the league season, off season start, yeah, we're gonna cut you and say that much. But that brings
That's how they did Russ.
That brings up some nasty rumors, some very, very nasty rumors that I don't appreciate. All you ESPN people talking about y'all want to see the neighbor lady in Las Vegas. Don't make me come visit y'all. Stop pushing this narrative. Don't get it started. I love Sierra. Absolutely love Sierra. Would love to interview Sierra. Hey Sierra, love to interview you. I don't
This guy. Now you're
Now you Shay Shay. Now you Shay Shay. You interviewing celebrities.
How do you feel about Antonio Pierce, Troy?
He is a Raider.
You look
like
that doesn't seem like a very confident answer.
No, I love him. I speak about the Raider lore, like a Raider cutting a rookie's car in half. If you've seen Any Given Sunday and Lawrence Taylor's up on top of that man's car with a chainsaw, that actually happened. A Raider actually cut a rookie's car in half for disrespect. So that's like the Raiders are a different breed. And if you've seen, so he just did an interview with the Pivot. If
watched
you watched that interview, I'm ready to suit up. 51-year-old knees and everything. Like, give me some helmets and pads. I'm gonna sit on the bench, but I'm ready to suit up too. Like it's TP. That man talking.
I ain't gonna lie, man. Like when the Texans signed D'Amico to be our head coach, I was about to head on down to Reliant for open tryout. Like, put me out there, coach. I will run through a brick wall for you. I promise.
So, I love, and everybody's going to expect because of what we did this year that it's going to be a major turnaround next year. We got to get a quarterback. Point blank period.
He talked about Aiden O'Connell though. He said, he didn't say Aiden O'Connell was the guy, but he said he did the job.
Yeah. So,
Jaden Daniels.
Colin, what'd you just say?
I said
Jaden Daniels.
They said Jaden Daniels leaving the pocket looks like a little kid driving a Ferrari. Like there's all gas, no brakes or steering.
But if we could teach him to slide.
Oh, man, because he took
might be
nasty hit. No, look, when he played Florida State, I was like, jeez.
He was just, you know what? He was feeling himself because he was like, yeah, I'm going to have a good game. No, you're not. You're not. Stay your behind in that pocket where it's safe at. It's sharks out there in that water.
Man.
You don't believe in that.
Also,
I ain't never seen a quarterback get hit as hard as he had this year and not get concussed. He just popped right back up.
He got.
But you don't want to test the NFL players the same way you test the college players because it's gonna catch up to you eventually. Just ask Anthony Richardson.
Yeah,
ask him how hard them NFL players hit.
You know what?
Specifically, ask how hard the Texans hit.
TP, since you brought up a boot scheme, since you brought up a boot scheme, do y'all know the University of Florida NIL collective is saying that they are having a hard time attracting players because they don't have the money to attract the top players?
Florida University, the Gators.
So let's just so we're clear. The Bootskins have some of the richest alumni in the history of Florida. One of their alumni is the reason we have medical marijuana. He kicked off that with his own money. Morgan and Morgan. You ever heard of them?
Sounds like a bank.
Biggest accident attorneys everywhere now. How y'all don't have no money? Oh, I know. Because y'all on that BS. See, alumni tell you what they want. And if you don't give them what they want, when it come time to ask for money, they have a way of letting you know the last time we had this conversation, you ain't listen. So now we spanking you. In Florida, out of all the Florida schools, will spike their nose or bite their nose to spike their face. Because if y'all remember, Florida just fired their last coach a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And fired one a couple years before that. They don't care. They can go buy them a new coach. But what you ain't gonna do?
They haven't won since Urban Meyer left.
They were close over COVID. They were close over COVID.
Know why that is? The reason that is because they will tell you. They on some Texas shit. This is how the organization gonna run. And if you don't like how the organization gonna run, we're gonna run you.
Hey,
so this collective is gonna go out
don't
of
bring
business.
don't bring my Longhorns into this. We got oil money, so we gonna always have money.
But
Texas got oil money.
TP.
That's why you don't hear them complaining. A&M also has oil money.
Remember that black coach out here in one of the top alumni said, y'all need to fire him. And they was like, no, we ain't. And then the money stopped. And then they fired him.
They had to get strong. They had to get strong out of there. I mean, he wasn't winning. I love Charlie Strong, but he was too nice. Too nice. I don't need my head coach being nice.
So, and I go to a school that alumni be out of control too. Because my alumni said that, we have a problem with our black coach, even though he had a winning record. And they said 6-6 wasn't good enough. And then we brought in a head coach that proceeded to have 2 straight losing seasons. And then he lucked up on a 10-win season after he lost to Wake Forest. And because of that season, I was kind of quiet. And then he went undefeated for most of this season. And I've been kind of quiet. I even a few games cheered for my head coach. I am that alumni that when I don't like what the university is doing, I will voice my concerns and opinion. I also know that sometimes I'm wrong. And that FAMU situation made me realize that in the past, I might have been wrong. I know I'm not wrong about my head coach. I know that. I know that man don't never need to call an offensive play for the rest of his days.
Norvell?
Yes.
Or we don't run our Heisman hopeful quarterback against Alabama State University.
No. Northern Alabama.
Northern Alabama.
What? You know what?
Why?
It's not old Trump.
I still don't.
Wait, wasn't the game kind of out of reach too when he got hurt?
No,
they were losing.
We were losing.
They were losing to Northern Alabama. That was already funny to me. I was about to call Troy right then, bro, what is going on?
And then
he gets hurt.
And they run the ball like they should have did in the beginning of the game.
and then it got out of hand.
Y'all know Charlie Ward had won the Heisman while sitting out games. Like there were games that he only played the first quarter. So there was.
You think that's why they played him, because of the Heisman?
Yeah,
That's why they played. That's the only reason.
the numbers when he didn't even need them. He would have won it.
Looking
He would
back
have
on
won
the
it. He would have won it because they gave it to Jaden Daniels. That literally tells me they would have gave it to him because they had an undefeated record.
yeah. Looking back on the playoff teams, Troy, do you think that you guys could have competed? Look, like knowing what we know now, do you think that Florida State would have been competitive in the playoff?
I'll say this because I don't want to disrespect nobody's season. I don't want to disrespect the champions. I know my quarterback would have threw for over 200 yards. That's what I know.
On who?
I know my quarterback would have threw for 200 yards.
On who?
Them two wide receivers on the outside, my quarterback would have threw for over 200 yards.
I do like Keon and I do like Johnny.
They
But that
averaged
Michigan
9
defense was
yards a
serious.
carry. They averaged 9 yards a carry, Troy. Why wouldn't they run the ball? I don't
I
even
understand that,
if
TP.
if
That's
my
the
running
icing
back,
on the cake. That's
if
the
I average
icing on the
9
cake.
yards, if I average 9 yards a rush, my quarterback will never have over 200 yards passing. You know why?
Facts.
Because I'm gonna keep running the ball.
Facts.
So fans who don't understand what TP is talking about, TP is talking about his team, the Longhorns, in the game against Michigan. They had 9 yards of carry.
What?
And the head coach kept calling pass plays.
No, that was against Washington. We averaged
I'm sorry,
7.5
against Washington.
yards a carry.
Okay.
You can look at the end of game stats. We averaged over 7 yards a carry for the game.
Wow.
Our quarterback threw the ball 42 times.
Ooh. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly. But nah, Sarkisian want to get Ewers all the hype. It is what it is.
I'm not sold on
It is
him.
what it is.
You know what? I'm finna
Ewers?
start some unnecessary Texas quarterback controversy.
Mhm.
If that
As
Manning,
long as I don't see Manning, as long as I don't see Manning in there, I'm good. I'll
Why
take
not?
Murphy can throw a beautiful deep ball, but he like sunshine on Remember the Titans. Throw
Why
it a
don't you want
mile,
to see
10
Manning?
yards. Because he's not good as the other two quarterbacks on the roster. He's just not. Ewers and Murphy are both better than Manning as of today. If that change comes spring ball, hey, this man might have had a hell of a growth spurt over the summer. He might be throwing lasers or whatever. But what I seen from him in the spring game last year, you want to talk about Brock Purdy having a doodle arm. It was terrible. I was like, bro, what? And then he wasn't the most accurate. He's not good under pressure. Just because his last name is Manning doesn't mean that he's gonna be a great quarterback or a great athlete for that matter. Murphy and Ewers both respectfully can keep us in games. Ewers has won us games, but he's also made some very costly mistakes. He made some costly mistakes in that Oklahoma game that we ultimately lost that game. You can't throw picks in the red zone. That's rule number one as a quarterback. Don't throw interceptions in the red zone. Every drive should end with a kick. That's what my coach used to tell us all the time. Every drive, whether a field goal or a punt or an extra point after you done scored a touchdown, but every drive should end with a kick. And Ewers is not the master of that. He throws a lot of interceptions.
Well, I just I'm gonna move along because TP.
I'll be here all day.
So, a particular story that we have on purposefully been ignoring because of fans. Catlin Clark is about to set the women's scoring record. Oh, actually, she set the women's scoring record
Tonight?
in college basketball. And
tonight.
in a vacuum, it is an incredible story. She had an incredible career. She's also had some controversy in her career. She was blatantly disrespectful to South Carolina in the NCAA semis.
Oh, talking about the
Yeah.
yeah.
She then got that same gas in her face when they was getting mollywopped by LSU.
Oh yeah, Angel Reese.
Classless, what they said.
And
You know
the
what that is.
the founder of Barstool Sports famously made a very interesting statement. So in a vacuum, her accomplishments are great. So the problem that I have is with fans. And to be fair and to be transparent, I also have problems with my school's fans. We've done similar things. So please understand, I don't take this subject lightly. But I should never, ever wake up, put my glasses on, open Twitter and see, don't be a sheriff. Excuse me?
Cheryl Miller?
Cheryl Swoops.
Cheryl Swoops.
Swoops did an interview asking her opinions about players. And when it came to Catlin Clark, she said she gave the girl credit as a college athlete. She's had an amazing career, but she's just not going to roll out of bed and take one of these women in professional basketball's job. They're bigger, better, stronger, faster now than they were when she was in the league.
Oh yeah.
It's not disrespecting, for lack of a better term, that child who at some point is going to be playing against grown-ass women. So
they was mad at her because she said she's not going to just walk into the league and be the greatest thing to ever happen.
You have never seen so much white linen on Twitter in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't even that deep. It was a fact. It would be something that we would say if a 150-pound running back decided he wanted to go pro his junior year. The same thing.
It doesn't matter who you are in college. That is fair for everybody. That's a fact for anybody who's going to professional sports.
And a lot of these college athletes have learned to humble themselves, ahead of time. And I give you an example, somebody who learned this lesson the hard way. Do y'all remember Maurice Claret?
Oh yeah.
From the University of Ohio State.
No, that was
train wreck. We literally watched the train wreck happen. We watched this running back have a great season at Ohio State, bypass the age requirement or year requirement for players in college football, only to get to the NFL and it'd be an absolute wash. It was one of those humbling moments where maybe you should have just stayed in college and did it like everybody else. You're not better than everybody else.
Didn't he kind of get pushed out of college though, due to the NCAA violations and things like that?
He got pushed out.
He signed an agent, which you're not allowed to do.
And then the NFL told him there was a bunch going on. So he signed an agent. He was trying to go pro early because, if I'm mistaken, there may have been some family need or something. So he was trying to go pro early, and he's trying to allow him to go and play early. So yeah, Maurice Claret, Tamarick Vanover was incredible at Florida State. He probably, when they talk about the greatest ones that we wish we would have seen more of, he's one of the ones.
He was an idiot. He was a super dummy. I knew him personally.
You didn't have to bring that up, Marlo. You didn't have to bring that up. We know he wasn't going to class. Thank you.
Thanks.
Snoop Menace. Snoop Menace to this day. I will never forgive Snoop Menace. We lost to Oklahoma because Snoop Menace failed the Dion rule. You just had to go to class. 2 classes in November. That's it. Anyway, so that Catlin Clark situation is, I want to celebrate the athlete, but all of the extra around it taints it. And it's just bad. Like, I don't I don't wish that on nobody. I'm not a fan of hers, don't get me wrong. But I don't, that's just, imagine being at the pinnacle and somebody took your accomplishment and made it into a racist trope.
Yeah.
I mean, this is even going back to the whole Angel Reese thing. We were tuned into the women's college basketball national championship because now it became a black versus white thing.
Yeah.
It was more about the drama between them than the actual game. We wasn't worried about the game anymore. Now it's, the thugs at LSU versus your your
Suburban white
full
women.
of class, yeah, your suburban full of class Iowa team. Not it dilutes the spirit of the game. And this is, you know, we don't have nothing against white players. The best running back in the NFL right now is white.
Facts.
We don't care about that, but they do. And then they use it to push
It's a
their own
marketing
narrative.
tool.
It's a marketing tool. But then for Catlin Clark, it sucks because she just wants to play basketball.
I
Can I
mean,
just play basketball? She was doing her thing and she didn't care about none of that. It wasn't nothing she did was racially motivated.
mm-mm.
It
The
was the
media
people
turned it
talking.
into that.
Media turned it into that.
Like, just imagine, think about the contrast. You got Caitlin Clark after they beat South Carolina, clowning and whatever, and the media's posting it. They're like, oh, look at Caitlin Clark, doing the John Cena celebration. But then after the LSU game, Angel Reese does the exact same thing. And it's, oh, she's classless. She doesn't know how to win with grace. She all these other things. It's like, what are we talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Cornbread Maxwell won MVP in a series of the Celtics versus the Lakers. Cornbread said when they was talking about all this white versus black stuff, he was like, hey, there's some black players on the Celtics too. So he understood, and we should all understand that it is used as a marketing tool to boost ratings.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's some guy that
we
went, if I could just play on the negativity, I can boost ratings.
we had a whole president election based on that narrative.
Oh,
Let's
man.
make America great again.
Do you know some of our
So
best viewed
come on now.
episodes are some of the most negative episodes? The
Negativity
Fuck Tom
sells.
Brady came about because I made a Fuck Tom Brady clip. People watched the clip. It's like, oh, okay. Let me tap into this. We did an episode just recently on the whole Stephen A. Smith and Jason Whitlock. That video did well. So the psychology of trolling is alive and well. And it's not my best trait. But sometimes I got to get y'all to come see some of my toxicity to see the truth. So if I got to say fuck Tom Brady 50 times, and I will have a joyous heart while doing it, I want to also make sure I give y'all something to take with you.
You just got to get them in the door.
Yeah, got to get them in the building. Got to get them in the pastor and say, hey, let me get them in the door and I'll save their souls, but I got to get them in the door.
Amen.
But as we all know, historically, controversy sells.
Oh, yeah.
Always been a marketing tool with anything. You don't watch TV if there ain't no drama going on. If it ain't nothing that's piquing your interest, the plot got to be something that catches your attention. And if it doesn't, you're gone within minutes.
I mean, just look at AB, Antonio Brown's Twitter account. His impressions are crazy, and nothing he posts is positive. And people look at his stuff like crazy. His stuff spreads like wildfire.
Absolutely.
Quick programming point. Shout out to Fonnie Willis. Today, you are all over the world. Also, brothers, we took an L today. We took a big old L. because somebody wanted to get in a black woman's business, we had to find out that an esteemed attorney in Atlanta, Georgia, did not think very highly of black women. So much so that Fonnie Davis put it out there for the world to see. And I quote, "The only thing a woman can do for me is go get me a sandwich," or something to that effect, was her quote. You said that to the DA of Atlanta because you was uncomfortable in your skin. Let me tell you something. And I've said it many times on this podcast. Let Jill Scott walk in the door and be like, "You mine. I will be Mr. Jill Scott." Hey, Jill, what's up? This me. It's your boy. We got to do better, fellas. We can't, this can't be our narrative. Side note to all you podcasters talk about what you won't do in a relationship. Fonnie Willis was paying for vacations. I'm tired of it. I got that off my chest, y'all. I got that off my chest.
You feel better now? You feel lighter?
I feel, Samuel, I ain't gonna say that two individuals left me swinging in the wind when I was talking about a Khalees video that was all over the internet. Everybody mics was muted. I'm the only one talking about Khalees in Africa. By the way, I looked up some of them places she was at.
I'm about to mute my mic again. Space bar is nothing but inches away.
I don't know who Khalees is.
My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard. You ever heard this song?
Okay.
Yeah, dreads and gray hair now. A black woman with a gray hair.
Bad.
Stop.
I just want to hear what Troy got to say, man.
I don't want to get canceled. We don't need to hear what Troy about to say.
There is a song called Brick House. That is Khalees.
Okay. Well said. Well said.
Mikey, just letting it all hang out. Oh man! All right. So we took care of that. I'm trying to make sure I don't miss nothing because sometimes I miss stuff. Marlo probably don't want to talk about this, but TP, we definitely gonna need to talk about this. So last year, the Loft one put himself in a position to bet on himself. Baker Mayfield is now in line for $30 million.
Sheesh.
And I asked the question,
Should they
because there
pay
ain't no quarterbacks out there. Are you paying Baker $30 million?
I am.
And I asked this question because I know somebody is going to be pissed off when I ask it. But I need to know, is he comfortable?
I ain't mad. I am not mad. And I am very comfortable with the all-star shining quarterback. Yes, for 30.
You still wanted Cal Trask. Stop. You wanted Cal Trask to do.
Not wanted.
Stop.
Still won't.
Still
but
won't.
yes.
Cal Trask is a star. But I tell you what, man. As a Longhorn, I wouldn't give no Sooner a red cent. I'm putting his ass on the first Sooner. Which is another word for a fucking small fucking, well, I don't even know what little carriage thing. Whatever they call it, the boomer schooner, and I'm sending his ass on his way, man. Man ain't want no
buggy. You put him on the buggy.
Whatever they call that thing, the boomer schooner, he gotta go. He out of there.
He got them to the playoffs. He got them a playoff win.
Okay.
I would just point out that I was through the places of Marlo at the game where Baker Mayfield threw a wide open lob into the end zone to a New Orleans Saint.
Oh, that was last game of the season?
No, that was the second to the last game.
Home game.
Last game.
Yeah.
That was the last home game.
They need to go to Carolina to win it all.
Let me
But
tell
you
you,
gotta
man, he is an above average quarterback in the league where you got to be better than above average to win. So keep your above average quarterback, and you will never win a ring, but you might make the playoffs. You might, finish above 500, but you'll never get a ring.
I got another point to make about that though, because would you say Brock Purdy is above average?
Yep.
Well, if he's above average, he could have won a Super Bowl. He was a couple plays away from winning a Super Bowl. So if he can do that,
But
I
he
think Baker Mayfield can do it as well.
I
He
said
didn't. When it came down to it, Brock Purdy couldn't get it done. They didn't score a touchdown after the third quarter.
I'll just
Yeah,
bring
he
this
an
up.
above he an above average quarterback who couldn't utilize 3,000-yard players. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Y'all want to talk about he was made by them? Well, shit, he damn sure ain't get them the ball in the Super Bowl. Brandon Ayuk said, "I'm out of here. I want to go play with a quarterback that can actually get us the ball."
Man.
I said, now I want to be transparent, that if Baker Mayfield was playing for the 49ers, he would have gotten them a couple touchdowns after halftime. He may have
Probably went
also
to a
gotten
pick
them a
six,
couple interceptions.
I'm taking
Go
Brock
pick
Purdy over
six.
Baker Mayfield. I'm taking Brock Purdy over
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield.
Look, and this is
I
not.
don't know if I would do that. I would have to
But
take
look,
Baker in that
but look,
situation.
here's my point though. Brock Purdy not gonna lose you the game. He's not gonna throw the game away. Baker is gonna throw the game away. Literally.
Say
He's gonna
that.
throw it away.
Say
That's the
that.
difference. And I've said it all. I've been saying it all year.
Y'all, I don't like you for this, TP. You really don't. You got me on live television defending Baker Mayfield. You are a terrible person for this.
What's the defense? What's to defend? How did they
Let me
lose in the
finish.
playoffs? What
Let
happened?
me gather
What
myself.
happened on the drive? On the drive to go win or tie, or to go tie the game? What did Baker do?
Oh my God, I
Threw the
can't
ball
believe
away.
He threw an interception to a linebacker. Stop him.
there were 6 games that Baker Mayfield looked like a first round draft pick.
He was a Heisman Trophy winner. He should look like a first round draft pick.
Facts. Not only a first round draft pick, number 1.
Number 1 overall. But I'm gonna tell you like this, Troy. Troy, have you heard me say this before? Even the sun shines on the crack of a dog's ass every now and then.
The 10 o'clock is right twice a day.
I'm saying this because I'm just saying this. Maybe, just maybe the Bucs should explore giving Jameis Winston a call because
Not crab legs.
If
Not
if
crab
they did
legs.
that, it would be we don't want to do that. Just we gonna just leave that dog lying dead where that dog is
he
currently
threw
located.
for 5,000 yards and 30 touchdowns.
And 30
No,
what?
man,
30 touchdowns and 30 what?
31
Interceptions, okay, but how many dudes threw for
Okay.
5,000 and 30 touchdowns?
Mr.
It's not
30 for
like-
30.
This is not 30. Hey, this is not the 30 for 30 you want. This is not nah, you like we like 30 for 30. We like the show. You don't want 30.
That's not the 30 for 30 you're looking for, brother.
But people really was out here bashing Cam Newton for talking about Brock Purdy, and then Cam Newton. Then they started wanting to compare Cam Newton to Lamar Jackson, saying that Lamar is better than Cam Newton. Well,
I don't know if we can definitively say that yet.
Cam Newton been to a Super Bowl.
And I'm gonna put it like this: Lamar Jackson has as many MVPs as he has playoff wins. Until that number changes, I cannot put him over Cam Newton.
Yeah. Can you even put him over Brock Purdy?
Yes, he's a better athlete.
Just being
He's a better athlete in a lot of ways. He has better arm talent, faster, of course.
I will say this: when the moment came to be had, Lamar threw an interception in triple coverage. Brock Purdy led his team to the Super Bowl.
All right, since we're doing this, motherfucker, don't put your hand up if you in triple coverage. Because 9 times out of 10, quarterbacks are throwing you the ball.
Facts.
Don't
get it.
No. We're not going to do that because 9 times out of 10, quarterback is see you in triple coverage. I don't give a shit what hand you put up. You could be down there with pom-poms. If you in triple coverage and the quarterback see it, you do not throw the ball. Going to lose their call.
If he can see his hand up, he can see the 3 people around him.
Facts.
It was a bad throw. He lost the game. That's on him.
When that play happened, I'm watching him throw his hand up. When he threw his hand up, I threw my cup. Because I knew it was going to be an interception. You know, goddamn well you ain't open. And you ain't open. You ain't Odell. Off-season rules. If your name not Odell, don't throw your hand up. Also, somebody need to put, I am not advocating violence ever. However, I will understand if in the locker room, Zay Flowers got tied to his locker and got a 2-piece. I would completely understand it.
Why? For trying to make a play?
No, I'm talking about the penalty. I'm talking about the penalty.
Oh, you talking about when he got in Snead's face? They do that.
And spit the ball.
They do.
He spit the ball damn near on his head.
Oh, yeah. That was wild.
But look, when I rewatched it, he looked like he didn't know where Snead was when he got up to do it. He just did it, and it happened to be right there. Like, you ever did something and like you wasn't aware of your surroundings? That's what it looked like. But
I'm calling BS on that, TP.
That's what it looked like from where I was standing. I'm not a Zay Flowers lover. I feel like Tank Dell was the best receiver in the draft. Like, I don't care about Zay Flowers at all. But watching the game, it looked like he wasn't really paying attention. He just did it. Not saying it was the right thing to do. Like, motherfucker, you ain't scored a touchdown.
Yeah. You
got a first down. Y'all got to get right back in the huddle. Go finish the drive. You notice Barry Sanders never celebrated. He handed the ball to the ref and he got back on his job. A lot of these young kids need to pay attention to the old cats. Y'all out here, y'all dancing, y'all 1-2 stepping. Hey, sometimes you need to be humble till the game over with. We celebrating the locker. We popping bottles because we going to the Super Bowl.
Right.
You know what?
You shouldn't even be popping bottles until you win the Super Bowl.
I'll tell you this.
I win the NFC Championship game. I'm popping a bottle.
If he doesn't come back next year, having become better because of this, his career will be over. Because
you talking about Lamar?
No.
Flowers.
If he doesn't come back and learn from it, I'm telling you. Yeah. And the mind is a terrible thing to waste. I'm telling you, if he doesn't come back and learn from this, his career is gonna be ruined. I've seen it happen to too many good receivers.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Tony,
that confidence is over with.
Tony didn't even activate him for the Super Bowl, and coming in straight, it was something totally different. That's crazy.
You know what? That's what we didn't talk about because I done made him my personal meme for a few days now.
Who, Zay?
Kadarius Toney?
Oh, he's out of there.
Oh, you could.
Yeah.
You've been scratched 2 playoff games in a row. Ain't nothing,
And they won with 2.
You don't really get a ring.
Guys, that's my time.
Yeah, he'll get one. He was on the roster.
Yeah, he get one.
one.
So before we end up tonight, something quick and serious. So for a very long time on this podcast, I did not reach out to do collabs with people. In the sports space, there had been a bunch of, I'll collab with you, but you got to do something for me. You got to go out on a date with me and all of that BS. That was one of the main reasons why some of these good female podcasters, I didn't reach out to, because I didn't want to be a part of that. It took a lot for me to reach out and be like, hey, come on the podcast, because that culture is out there. And one of the people that I follow, and if you are into HBCU basketball, specifically SWAC basketball, Live for Hoops is a great resource. She's going, matter of fact, she give you NIA stuff too. So she's a great resource for HBCU small school basketball. She posted today that HBCU coach blocked her because she let it be known that she had no interest in dealing with him in a romantic situation. Now, going forward, again, this ain't my experience to tell. I'm just explaining why we didn't do stuff. When I saw that today, that triggered me, because I have been trying to get Liv onto this show. We make no strings about you got to be, in our group. None of that. No 360 deals. None of that. You ain't got to come to death row because bad what's up. None of that. Come in, join the show, give us your insight, a different voice other than ourselves. That's what we're here for. But let me be clear, young ladies. If this is your experience, I pray that you are able to call them out and be okay with calling them out. If you can't, if it's going to be some kind of harm to your career, I pray that you are able to talk to somebody who can call them out. And as I said on Twitter, these old men over here ain't got no problem with any smoke with anybody. I ain't hard to find. So if you need to come on the podcast and share your story, we here. This is a safe space. It's all love. It's going to always be love. But creeps going to be creeps whenever they think they can hide in the dark. In the moment we make them realize that you can't hide in these spaces, that we're going to call your ass out, they'll stop. Or they'll go to jail. And if you are a HBCU AD, and this is going to be a clip. If you're an HBCU AD, you need to be sending out an HR rules email as soon as I get this on the internet. Because they got these things where you can see who blocked who. And I promise you, if I get bored and I see who blocked Liv, my journalistic integrity is dubious at best sometimes when I get pissed off. Please don't let me be pissed off, because I'm going to shoot first and ask questions later. Meaning, I'm going to say what I got to say on this podcast and ask you to respond. Don't mess with women. It ain't cool. Don't mess with men. It's not cool. It's not okay. We all here to do a thing. Just lead with love. That's all you got to do. That's going to be mine for this week. TP, what you got for us this week?
The football season is over. College and NFL. Normally, I would go cry in the car. But we got the XFL coming back in April. We got football back on the TV. It ain't going to be that long without football on my screen. If you're not somebody that knows about it, these are pro players. A lot of them were on pro rosters, may have only been on practice squad. Some get activated, some don't. That's just the nature of the game. They can only fit 53 people on the active roster. That's not saying that there isn't still talented players that are still trying to make a name for themselves. If you ever heard the story of Kurt Warner, he was playing in arena football, bagging groceries before he made his return back to the NFL and went on to create one of the greatest offenses we know in recent history. Y'all heard the greatest show on turf? Yeah, that was
Oh
Kurt
yeah.
Warner, Torrey Holt, Falk, and all them boys. But it's quality football. If you're an advocate lover of the sport, I would encourage you to check it out. Watch you a couple games. They have a sort of different rules, as far as like the onsides and the extra points and everything. They try to make it a little bit more interesting on a strategic standpoint than the football that we know and love in the NFL and college football. But still very quality football to be played, very good players. And you can say that, hey, I seen him play in the XFL, USFL league, and now they're in the NFL doing big things. You can be one of those people that say, "Oh, I saw him when anybody know who he was." You can hold that as a claim to fame. You know what I mean? Me, I'll be watching. I love football too much to not watch. It was a great season. Shout out to the Chiefs, Pat Mahomes, greatest quarterback we know now in the NFL. Since Tom Brady retired. I don't want to hear nothing, Troy. Tom was the GOAT. But Pat Mahomes is making a strong case. By the time his career is said and done, because they're already talking about him being as a Hall of Famer. We're talking 5 straight AFC Championship games, 3 rings. The numbers speak for themselves, and he's only 28.
Yep.
So there's there's a lot of football to still be played by Mr. Mahomes, and I feel lucky. I feel blessed to be able to be a part of that, to say that I seen it happen. I got to watch Tom Brady from the start. I was watching that playoff game when he fumbled. They didn't call it a fumble. That set off a whole dynasty in New England. But just enjoy today. That's my word for y'all. Enjoy today. A lot of times we get too wrapped up on the past. We're too worried about the future. Enjoy today. Tomorrow will come, but enjoy what you have while you still have it present. That's my time for y'all. See y'all next week. Same time, same place.
Malo, what you got for us this week?
I'll defer. I got a lot of background noise, but good show, y'all.
Mr. King, as a guest, we give you the last word.
First off, I want to say the UFL season is going to be amazing. Relating to what TP said, the XFL and USFL just merged. It's going to be an amazing season it's going to be so competitive. Just think, you had 2 leagues of 8 teams collectively. You had the 8 USFL teams and you had the 8 XFL teams. They are now in one joint merged league called the UFL, the United Football League, and it's going to be both of those leagues merged together, a bunch of players, less spots. That's why I'm a free agent now, but it's going to be super, super competitive. It's going to be amazing football. So I will 100% agree with what TP said. It's going to be amazing. I would advise everybody to tap in. It was great football. It's great football. A little different rules, 3-point, 2-point plays. The kickoffs are a little different. Onsides are a little different, but that makes it exciting. So just like TP said, everybody tap into that. I don't know how you guys are about NBA basketball. I love NBA basketball. There's a lot of new teams, a lot of young teams that are good. The OKC Thunder are number 2 in the West. The Clippers are number 3 in the West. You got the Timberwolves with Anthony Edwards, who are number 1 in the West. And then on the Eastern Conference, you got the Boston Celtics. You got the 76ers. There's a lot of good basketball being played right now. I don't know how you guys are on the NBA, but I love NBA basketball. So if you guys care about that, I'd say go tap into that. And then obviously we got spring games coming up. Spring football is going to be exciting. So I think everybody's going to be on the lookout for that Colorado spring game. I think a lot of people will be interested to see how they're looking. So yeah, even though football season ended, we're right around the corner to more football. And then, college football is going to start ramping up here with the spring games and everything. So I think it's an exciting time. I want to thank you guys for allowing me back on the show. It's always great talking to you guys, and it's been great, man. So to all the fans, thank you guys, and TP, Troy, Marlo, I appreciate you guys as well.
Absolutely. We appreciate
That's
you.
Well, ladies and
And
gentlemen,
we do like basketball. And I'm waiting for the Clippers to take it to a game 7 for James Harden to go 0 for 30.
Oh man, do you know somebody actually tried to debate me that James Harden was better than Allen Iverson?
Whoa, who?
Y'all, some
That's
of the
not a
tweets.
not a conversation.
Listen,
That's not even a conversation.
If it comes down to a sports debate and you say something wild, please know if you're debating me, I'm immediately trolling you.
Yes,
so when you
as you should.
Like you have the internet, I'm now trolling you. So everything after that is just intelligent insults from that point on. Just so don't get offended by my tweets. You went too far, and I got to smack you back into place, and all is good. As always, like and subscribe. We are everywhere you consume your podcast. I know tonight, for instance, Joshua Sims, who has HBCU Nightly, his podcast starts at 9:00. But the one good thing about our podcast is you can listen to our podcast in the car. I post pictures on Twitter all the time of me listening to the podcast in the car. I listen to our podcast on the way to Miami. Y'all really got to hear TP sometimes. Y'all really got to hear TP sometimes. I don't know why Marlo came in here with this disrespectful. It ain't even cream. It's like throw up orange and white. Like, what are we doing? Really? This is what you're doing? This what
that looks kind of clean.
But again, thank everybody for coming out. For the guys, Akeem, thank you.